All right, so Good Morning America, the NBC Nightly News, The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, the CBS Evening News, the CBS Morning Show. What do all these shows have in common? I'm sitting here again today, Scott Stoltz, with my co-host David Newkirk, Elevate Your Business, Your Career TV. And we have a really interesting topic we're going to share today in terms of network TV and how that correlates to your career. David, thanks for joining me again today. Good to see you as always. So those shows that I just listed all belong to the major networks, the legacy networks, ABC, NBC, CBS. And for those of you who are old enough to remember back to the 80s, the early 90s, all those shows were mainstays. And if you're even older than that and go back to the 60s and 70s, they were like the rocks. Mm-hmm. The networks there were three of them, and they were about, David, I don't know about you, when I was growing up, I was a little kid in the 70s and a teenager in the 80s. We had three networks and about 5 or 6 other channels, and all those shows were really important in every household. But as you know, things have changed, and we're going to get into that a little bit. But what kind of memories come up before we get started, like when you think about those shows, the good memories, what kind of a place did they have in your life?
Well, it seemed like all of those shows at nighttime, it was an event. So that was where you knew what was coming on, you looked forward to it all week, and you figured out how to aggregate yourself and perhaps the rest of your family, as a kid at the time for me, around the TV to watch those things. And so it was something you just totally looked forward to, and that was your downtime.
It was an escape, a getaway. It was good TV. It was, for many of us, it was quality TV. Where do those networks, think about for wherever you are in your life, and even if you're younger, you might watch some of the shows that are on those networks today, and also Fox is very big these days. Where do those shows sit with you? And where we're going with this is, think about if they had a big place in your life, even 20 years ago, even in the 90s, how much that has changed. And it's a reminder that the economy, the market, financial markets, and corporations have evolved so much. Number one, let's go through some of the big differences and where we're going to take this is how you need to think and should think along the lines of your business and career, what you've seen and what lessons you've learned from these networks and other entertainment avenues or platforms that are out there, because it's so dynamic now. David, what's something in your mind, throw one off the top of your head, that there's been a change in what network TV represented, say in the 80s and early 90s, and where it is today? What's one thing that's different?
Jeez. Well, it seems to me that the original content of creative storytelling, creative innovative shows is really now with your Netflix, your Prime Video, your Hulu, and then there's some other junior ones that are starting to come up. But to me, that's where I think I go and a lot of people go instead of regular TV.
Yeah, and you can make the case that the entertainment is even better and the creativity is even better in the Netflixes and Hulus. And, maybe that's because, and I don't want to generalize too much, because that doesn't really serve our audience too well and where we're looking to go with this, but I'll throw it out there. Is there a chance that legacy networks are, stuck to ways they've done things in the past? I think they are, just because of the fact that you still see the same kind of Good Morning America, the same kind of NBC Nightly News, the same kind of CBS Late Show that you saw 20 and 30 years ago. That tells me they're kind of sticking to the way things were done in the past, whereas the new companies like a Netflix or a Hulu, they're much more apt to experiment and try things a little differently. What's your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I mean, the big one that I think of and comes to mind is binge watching. Binge watching was defined by Netflix, where they released a whole new show. Let's say Stranger Things, right? Stranger Things, a lot of people of all ages love Stranger Things. I like Stranger Things. But Stranger Things, you can sit and watch, 13 episodes. You're not waiting 13 weeks. And then actually it's going to take you 16 weeks because there's a sports game on that channel, which means nothing that week, or the State of the Union or something like that. You want to watch all 13? You can blow all through them now.
So, that may be because they saw a need with the audience, with the public, that people wanted to do that.
That's right.
I'm a little old school when it comes, if I'm going to watch something, I don't need or want to binge on it in a whole weekend or a couple of days. But they had data that told them that people would be into that. And they went after it, whereas the networks still go the traditional route. It's on once a week. It's got X number of commercials, blah, blah, blah. So what let's just cut right to the chase. Which approach is better in today's world?
I think it's obvious. It's the Hulu, it's the Prime, it's the Netflix. Why? Because that's where I spend my time. I don't spend any of my time on regular TV. There might be one show or two shows, of course, the whole week. But I look at it and it's all reality TV, and that's just for me personally. I just don't like watching reality TV and watching everybody else. I live my own reality, and I have my friends that live their reality. That's enough for me. But in all seriousness, I just don't think that there's a lot of options of things to watch on regular TV.
Yeah, so one of the messages that we're seeing here, if we just follow what's going on in entertainment, and we haven't even gotten into movies yet, and maybe we do that another time, more sequels, more comic book movies, they're going to run out of ideas. But the networks, they seem to be lagging behind. They're not, I mean, listen, I don't ever hear anybody talk about, I'm watching or into this show on ABC. I hear a lot of people talking about they're following something on Netflix or Hulu and they can't wait for it to come out. So when you think about your career, your business, where you're going, look at the trends in an industry like entertainment and TV. Look at what's happened with the legacy networks and how they're falling behind. I personally think that within 10 years they're done. They're absolutely done, and they're clinging to the past right now. And maybe again it's a generalization, but David, what would a message, if you were, pretend you're with the audience right now and with one of them and you're in a one-on-one and they're asking you, what kind of mindset should I have over the next 5 years with my business? What's some of your advice that you would give as it relates to the entertainment industry? I mean, not everybody has the luxury of all the data that Netflix has, but what's a lesson they can take from that?
People have choices versus actually having no choice, right? So you have three different networks. Now you have multiple choice. So if you're in your career and it's all about having lots of choice, well, obviously, how do you stay attractive so that you are the choice? Because if you represent or you give off a vibe or you're describing or sharing yourself as being what things used to be like, then you become not the ideal choice, because people may identify with you and give you positive feedback, but they're also associating you with what used to be, and they're saying that this isn't how I see things currently.
All right, so this is new. David and I rarely, if ever, other than high level talking about the topic, we never talk out what we're going to say when we do these videos. So that's good. That's a different angle. You're talking about, like, if you give off the vibe or energy that you're, and this is, a little lack of a better term, but living in the past, stuck to your old ways, not open to new ideas, not creative, you're going to actually, repel people. People are not going to be drawn to you. Right?
That's exactly right. Yeah. If people in their day-to-day mindset, they're attracted to a Netflix for certain reasons, they're attracted to other things for certain reasons, then that's their mindset, right? So they already know what they're attracted to, so you have to represent the same type of thing that they should be attracted to, because their mindset's already established now with that change and that view and what attracts them, and it's not just for a specific thing. So I think, to your point, the CBS, the NBCs versus the new offerings, that's a representation. It's not just the networks, it's everything. Everybody needs to be attractive.
It's kind of like, remember 10 years ago when the iPhones came out and everybody had to have an Apple. It was cool to have an Apple. It's cool to be looking at Netflix right now and streaming. And I almost feel like a lot of people want to do what everybody else is doing. Well, not almost, I do feel this way. And they're going to be more apt to want to follow the cooler trends and the more up-to-date trends. Nobody walks around bragging that, hey, I love this show on ABC. But they do tell everybody about what they're doing on Netflix.
Yes, and what I'm waiting for is someone to say, let's create a news show that is like disruptive to the way news is today, even if it's CNN, MSNBC, Fox, and CBS, and ABC. Can we be the Netflix disruptor, the Prime Video Hulu disruptor in news, and do it nobody does before, but the data tells us this is the way to do news? That's, I think, right around the corner. I have no data for that, no information, but I think that the way evolution is, that's probably right around the corner, because everyone wants news, but right now it's not happening the way people want it.
So that's an interesting. We'll have to unpack or keep our eye on that. We know much more change is coming. So let's wind down the last moment or two with this. Is creativity. And we've kind of already hit on it, but these networks or these new entities and companies, even Amazon, we haven't even mentioned Amazon. Amazon offers original programming, their own streaming services, as does Apple, of course, Netflix and Hulu. So what can we do within ourselves, our career, and as a business to, within reason? I mean, and I don't want to hold anybody down or back. I mean, experiment all you want, but companies, we know, those of us have worked for big companies, usually discourage a lot of experimentation. They don't exactly tell employees, hey, go try that idea. Let me know how it comes, how it works out, and we'll go from there. No, that's not how it works. But what can individuals or small business owners or people in startups do to experiment and do things that are more creative and that are going to catch on with people? I mean, do you have any tactical advice that we can give?
Yeah. Well, the thing that comes to mind is you really have to be what I call an observer. You have to observe what's going on, because as you observe, you're getting information. You can call it data, you can call it, anything you want, learnings, knowledge. But observation is a great way to pick things up. So when you're in the moment with your business or in your career, there's so many things that, are you observing what's happening around you? Are you observing in a meeting what's going wrong, what's going right, or are you just participating? Are you actually seeing what's going on? Did you actually listen to what somebody said, or did you listen to the fact that they brought something new to the table and you saw everyone's reaction, going, that was new thinking, and look how everyone responded. So those are the things. It's more, I think, of that awareness of observation, because you can read and find content and look for trends and issues and do that. But I think observation is really big. People tend not to observe as much as they could.
I like that. It's a really strong piece of advice. We need to be aware, right? We need to be aware of what's going on within and around us, but also what other orgs and companies are doing. And I'll say this: I know in my last corporate job, I actually always tell people this, that I was like in this vacuum. I was for 5.5 years, I was all about CBS Health. And I watched the news and I kept up with other things. I'm a pretty well-informed person, but I just felt like everything I did energy-wise was about my job. And I wasn't really looking at new and different ideas until I knew what I was planning upon my exit and to start my new path. But even that was more focused. I mean, I had a vision of where I wanted to go, and it was pretty focused. But I don't feel like I was really keeping up with a lot of creative trends like I do now. Now that I'm broken free from what do they call them, the golden handcuffs or whatever. But I feel like I keep up a lot better. So I think that's really good advice.
I'll share one phrase that I hear that I know I use in my practice all the time, which is the marketplace and everything outside your place of business, whether you're an employee or you have your own business, everything outside of that moves 10 times faster than the rate of change that happens internally for you.
Yes.
So if everything is 10 times faster than the rate of change externally to you in your place of business as either an employee or an owner, think about the fact that the longer you don't do things, as we're talking about, to be on top of it, that rate of change is increasing, and you're not. Think about how big that gap is to catch up, to stay relevant.
Totally. Yeah, I agree. Boy, my head's swirling with a lot. I wish we could go longer. Do you have any thoughts on the networks, on evolution of entertainment, on evolution of your career or business? Share them below. Let us know, what you think about what you've seen in TV and how that might correlate to you. Or DM David and I together. These are the kind of ideas we want to share with you to get your head thinking about, hey, just because it's on TV, there might be something I can still learn from this. How does that model or pattern after what I'm doing in my business or career? So, David, thanks for this. Was a really good conversation.
It was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, have fun. All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you on our next edition of Elevate Your Business, Your Career TV.